My name is Dr. Drew Leader, professor of philosophy, also with an MD at Whale at University of Maryland in Baltimore. And I've been creating some videos from a new book of mine called The Healing Body, Creative Responses to Illness, Aging, and Affliction, about different strategies people can utilize when they experience these kinds of bodily limitations or breakdowns. And the first thing I'll say is when you have a serious illness, disability, injury, or simply the chronic aches and pains and problems that come with aging, it not only affects your body, but it really affects many, many dimensions of your life. Your relationship with other people, your ability to move through the world freely, your connection with the past and the future, et cetera, et cetera. So when I talk about healing, I don't necessarily mean that medical cure is coming and available for every problem individuals suffer, especially things like aging is kind of an incurable disease, or we don't want to rush to whatever the cure for that is. Um, but it does mean that we can become whole, WHOLE, the same etymology as the word heal. All those things that have been disrupted and disintegrated can be reintegrated by individuals, and they're doing so sometimes with the help of the medical system, sometimes quite independently. I want to acknowledge that in the new book and also give people tools to look at their strategies and maybe expand the horizon of what's possible for them. So I have what I call a chessboard of healing strategies, a 5x4 matrix of 20 different techniques that people utilize to try to find wholeness in the face of bodily assault. Today, we're going to be talking about one called witnessing. Um, and it's an interesting one. Um, it really, in some ways, comes from kind of a Buddhist notion of vipassana, awareness, dispassionate witnessing of what's going on. Sometimes it's known under the rubric of mindfulness. And increasingly, you will find MBSR trainings, mindfulness-based stress reduction trainings, developed by John Kabat-Zinn, who has kind of turned Buddhist-style teachings into a very useful psychological and medical tool. So you'll find this in medical centers around the country. But even independent of that, I just want to talk about what does it mean to witness your bodily problem? For example, pain. Well, it turns out that a lot of the painfulness of pain and things associated with, other kinds of symptomatology with illness and aging is not simply the result of immediate bodily sensations. Rather, for example, when we have physical pain, it triggers painful memories from the past, forebodings about the future, a lot of feelings, fear, anger, sadness, frustration. So a lot of the suffering connected with bodily pain and limitation arises through the emotional reactivity and the emotional resistance that we have to what's going on. And if we can step outside of all that, we diminish our anguish and maybe we diminish the symptoms themselves. There are many different kinds of modes of mindfulness and witnessing, but we just take kind of the basic ideas. First of all, it involves actually paying attention to what is occurring in your body. In other videos, I talk about ignoring what's happening in your body or refusing to let it limit you. And that works for certain individuals with certain conditions. But in this case, we go in the opposite direction. We stop trying to ignore it. We actually begin to pay attention. Sometimes it's best to just start with not the site of pain, but just attending to our breathing, doing a progressive body scan. Where do we feel different sensations throughout our body? And then gradually hone in on the site of pain. Actually, it may even be useful to not use that term pain, even within your own mind, because it's already classifying it, it's already counting it as something threatening and aversive. So just notice, is it a vibration? What is the location of it? Does it pulse or does it stay constant? And there's a wonderful investigator into issues around, particularly around death and dying, but also pain and illness, Stephen Levine, or maybe it's Stephen Levine, I'm not quite sure. But here he recounts the experience of a woman who was dying and was tortured by her chronic pain. So we'll start with a hard case. Quote, she began to investigate, what is the texture of this sensation? Is it hot or cold? Does it stay in one place? Is it moving? Does it vibrate? What actually is the experience that mind so quickly calcifies with labels of pain and emergency? Later, she related back to this moment of moving into instead of pulling back from her pain and said, quote, there was a spaciousness, a gentleness involved in this investigation that I never associated with my condition, close quote. In other words, the direct experience of her pain was quite different from what she'd imagined. She said that indeed most of what she had called pain was actually resistance. Her aversion to the pain had become a hell realm for her, reinforcing and intensifying each day's discomfort. So, once again, the key to witnessing is investigating sensations, but letting go of emotional reactivity. Of course, fear or frustration, etc., may arise nonetheless. But when they do, we simply witness that as well. We witness that emotional state arising in our mind and even what it feels like in our body. So in witnessing, we're not exactly trying to judge ourselves or even change anything, but kind of step outside of the melodrama and take a look at it dispassionately. So I know this is maybe a new approach to take because when we're faced with pain or illness or disability, we so much want to just get rid of the problem, gobble up medications, vitamins, internet diagnoses, self-help books, exercise, surgery, whatever it will be. But with the case of this approach, we're not trying to fix the problem. We're just trying to attend to it dispassionately. And surprisingly enough, that can go a pretty long way to lessening the problem, lessening the pain and reactivity. So once again, this was witnessing. Once again, it's Dr. Drew Leader. And the book in which I developed these healing strategies in much greater depth is called The Healing Body, Creative Responses to Illness, Aging, and Affliction. I wish you well with whatever you're dealing with, and I'll hopefully see you soon on another YouTube.